We're here today, of course, to join in the launch of Dr Jim Smith's book, The Aboriginal People of the Burragorang Valley, published by the Blue Mountain Education and Research Trust. Now, this trust, as I've touched on before, was really founded by Father Eugene Stockton. He's been the central and originating figure in this trust, as well as Mr. Alan Walsh, who's the indispensable man for all seasons, who's needed to publish this and the dozen other Blue Mountains books the Trust has been responsible for in recent times. I believe this book is a most important achievement, and I wish to say why. The Aboriginal People of the Burragorang Valley is a book a long time in the making. Jim Smith is a historian with local history in his blood and bones. I have walked, he writes, I have walked the Gundungurra landscape for 50 years. Now, this happens to be the landscape that defines the southern border of the Blue Mountains, the Burragorang Valley, a valley where some half-dozen rivers, the Cox, the Wallandilly, the Cowmung, and others rising in the southern highlands, all join together to make the Warragamba. Today they ensure Sydney most of its water supply. Jim Smith has had a lifetime of identifying with this wonderland of Australian nature, of its rushing streams, the hidden pathways of the Aborigines, and the mountainous cliffs that first blocked the earliest explorers. The Burragorang is a valley that only gradually allowed itself to be farmed along its river flats. It has been the home of several Aboriginal tribes and white colonists. Of particular interest this afternoon, the Catholic mission that Archbishop Polding, riding a horse, hoped would grow from his early visit in 1839, eventually became the legendary St Joseph Farm of the 1870s. And there the figure of Father Dillon looms large in its early history. So we are grateful to Jim Smith for his knowledge of people and places. Indeed, his footnotes are a book in themselves. And I like particularly the way he drew on other people's recollections and research, and so generously acknowledged them in his introduction. But why this book matters most of all to me is because it seems to round out a new and modern awareness of the Blue Mountains itself. The vast body of water that lies at the feet of the southern labyrinths and escarpments, this water we call the Warragamba Dam or Lake Burragorang, now somewhat surprisingly still seem to be a world of peace and calmness. It has kept its remoteness in spite of all that modern science and tourism has done to it. Now, we may accept that the Warragamba Dam is the creation of a technological age. Yet we know it was built at the cost of people's lifestyles and lives, farmers and Aboriginal families alike. It prides itself, the dam, on being so useful to Sydney, yet even today it has an aura of pain and sadness for people who care about those who first settled and lived there. Jim Smith's book gives this world a human face, many human faces. It is the sense of the early families who lived full lives there, who loved the place and made good use of what it provided to live off, and who then paid the price our society demanded of them for social progress. From the Aborigines' point of view, the cost of settlers taking over their land and of the government from the 1880s applying pressure to relocate Aboriginal tribes, and also of the mostly failure of efforts to make them into farmers. All of these pressures amounted to the sad demise of the Aboriginal people of the Burragorang Valley. So today a sense of tragedy is there in the background as we visit Warragamba Dam or read Jim Smith's book. Something is haunting, yet not unhappy. It is part of a new and richer texture, a more complete awareness of who we are, of knowing that the good things that come with modern society have been bought with a price. So I like to think that we sensitive and imaginative Blue Mountain people like to think of us as today we enter the mountains from either east or west, feeling that we are entering a huge house or home, a huge cube of a world, almost 100 kilometres long, 100 kilometres broad, with depths and heights enough to satisfy or excite anyone, but with a history now of people who have loved and lost something much more than the remote, unknown outpost it once was. It is now a land of rich human experience and vivid memory. It is an Australian total environment, one of our main keys to our culture. These are for me the qualities, the very human qualities of Jim Smith's book. And we are so pleased today to launch the book in all of its humanness and memories of family traditions. We will be able later on to ask Taylor Clarke, the NAIDOC Young Person of the Year for Western Sydney, to tell us her story and feelings as she proceeds to launch this wonderful new book. Thank you.